Could you be in a narcissistic relationship and not even know it? Today, we're unpacking the silent signs and patterns that often go unnoticed. This will be an interesting long one, so grab your popcorn and a cozy sit while we untie this. And narcissistic relationships and abuse, it's more frequent and prevalent than you even know it. The confusion, self-doubt, emotional turmoil that comes with it makes it difficult for anyone who's being abused in this kind of relationship to even see it or acknowledge it. And this is precisely why we are talking about this today. To bring awareness and to offer the guidance that would help you reclaim your power and break free from this kind of abuse. Now, this kind of abuse is seen in different kinds of dynamics, especially when it comes to spouses, partners, husbands, wives, romantic relationships especially. But then it also happens in families like siblings or parent, children, friends, colleagues at the workplace, even a neighbor. So let's just look at the signs that show that you are in a narcissistic relationship one by one. So the first thing is that the relationship lacks kindness. It lacks stability, and it lacks mutual respect. The partner who is being abused would never feel respected. And that is because it always feels like the narcissistic one always finds an opportunity to throw the other partner under the bus, either by speaking unkind words or by making them feel like they are never enough, or even by making nasty comments about their partner, and then try to make their action less awkward by calling it a joke. And usually, the abusing partner is never able to take the same joke, you know? The other thing is living a double life. There are some people who are really great when they are outside their home. To everyone on the outside, they are like the perfect people. They are like an epitome of what a perfect person should be. But it would be so unbelievable that if those people from the outside were told the kind of people they were in their homes, it would be so hard to relate the two because that would be a whole different personality. So you see that everyone on the outside would vouch for them about how good, how perfect they are. They are even an example. But inside the house, they are nothing to write home about. So that's what it kind of looks like. So if you find yourself in your relationship that feels like that, and nobody would ever believe when you tell them about the issues that you're having in your home. When you tell them about the true color of this other person, it's going to look like you are the liar. It's going to look like you're trying to assassinate that character. But in reality, it's just that they have a double life. So narcissistic relationships often leave you feeling very lost, questioning yourself and reality. You find out that when something happens, you tend to play back in your head several times just to find out whether there's something you really did wrong or to find out what you said, what you did not say. Narcissistic people like to hold things you said, even if you said it 20 years ago against you, even if in a different context. They are really great at trying to twist your own words, trying to interpret what you've said into a whole different light, just so that they can use it to attempt to keep you in the cycle of self-doubt and projected guilt. Sometimes they act like they are kind, but really they are not kind. They are far from being kind. They have all of these expectations tied to kindness. You can actually Google this if you are confused. When you tie expectations to kindness, is that still kindness? And the answer is no. I could go about why this is so, but I think that's a topic for another video. So their kindness is such a way that that kindness stops resembling kindness because of all of the things that have to come with it. If somebody offers to do something for you but expects so much more, then somehow it diminishes the definition of what kindness should be. Narcissistic people often twist situations, like I said before. You find out that when things happen, something a simple apology would just solve. You find out that they find a way to twist that whole situation in such a way that even though they are at fault, you'd be the one to apologize to them. That's what narcissistic dynamics look like. so they would continue to hurt you without remorse. They like to avoid accountability. That's another thing. They like to avoid accountability and they will never change. I am going to cite an example. People like to say, oh, don't look through your partner's phone for whatever reason. But let's say you looked through your partner's phone and you found something really distasteful. Say he was texting an ex inappropriately. First off, instead of apologizing for even involving themselves in the act, the next thing they are going to start talking about is, why did you look at my phone? So the matter moves from apologizing for texting someone else inappropriately and actually showing a change of character to apologizing to them, trying to make you apologize for even looking at the phone in the first place. And you find out that they never change because they will never show any signs of change. Instead, they will continue hurting you, avoiding accountability. I actually know of an actual story where this happened. You know what the narcissistic partner did? He changed his phone password, started searching through her personal items like journals to see if she had any potential side piece of her own. And when she confronted him for his reaction, he apologized. I am not sure he apologized for his character or for just being caught. So the key to a healthy relationship is mutual respect, understanding, and emotional safety. So if you are in a relationship where you don't feel emotionally safe to express yourself, when you express something that you think is a problem, they handle it with a how dare you say that, it hurts my reputation attitude, instead of handling it with care and the deep concern, that should show that whatever you said, even though they don't agree with it, they don't want it to be your reality, and therefore they will work with you. So the list of what constitutes a narcissistic relationship is endless. A narcissistic person will take decisions that will affect you without getting you involved. For example, selling the house you both live in or taking out a huge debt. So one day your life is stable, the next day it's not. So over time, this constant attitude can make you feel like your emotions don't matter. You can find yourself sacrificing your values to keep peace. Probably you're somebody who is outspoken. You're somebody who is opinionated, right? You're somebody who likes to stand for what they believe in. But because every time you speak out, it's blown out of proportion. Anytime you speak out, somebody reacts explosively over minor things, making you feel like you're constantly working on eggshells. Someone could react so poorly to everything, every concern you raise until you start to work on eggshells. You're always overly careful about what to say, just so that you don't annoy them. So you start to find out that it's easier to deal with suppressing your values or thoughts to keep peace than to deal with their reaction. So you might start censoring yourself or avoiding certain topics just to prevent conflict. This is another dynamic found in narcissistic relationships. So you find that over time, you might even start to compromise your morals and your comforts just to avoid their anger and rejection. And this is not healthy. It's manipulative. Also, you can start to feel out of character. Always angry, always anxious, unlike yourself. And I'm sure you can see the direct link between this and the second point I mentioned. Because once you're always being repressed, once you're always being, stifled, let's put it that way, all of those suppressed feelings start to manifest as anger if you are not careful. Let's pause for a second. If any of this sounds familiar, the next question becomes, how do you actually deal with this? First, you must take a moment to reflect on how you feel and own it. You must also take a moment to realize and to truly understand that nobody should have that kind of power over you as a human being. Nobody should have that kind of power over your emotions. You have the power to not always be angry. And even if you find yourself in a narcissistic situation, Once you understand the power you have over yourself first, you will be able to control how you regulate your own feelings and be able to use that optimally just so that you don't end up, letting somebody drive you crazy. I understand that maybe your boundaries are constantly being crossed. You are always emotionally dysregulated, but you have to find a way to keep your own character in check because at the end of the day, you are in charge and in control of your own character. Do not let a narcissistic person project their flaws and mistakes onto you because, as a matter of fact, they will likely blame you for everything that goes wrong in their life. And sometimes, in an attempt to defend yourself, you might find yourself over explaining or justifying your actions or going above and beyond just to prove your words. And this cycle never ends. So it's just better not to start it. Another thing about this relationship dynamic is that you are likely going to find out that you are constantly trying to clean up their messes. They are going to get into situations out of their own lack of responsibility that might keep you in that position where you are cleaning up that mess to save their face. It's easy for you to not want your name to be dragged through the mud, especially for women who are more prone to feeling shame over things that they are not in control of. And this is wrong. Life with a narcissistic person will often involve constant chaos. They may be irresponsible, they may be reckless, they may lack accountability. So whether it's paying for their debts or making excuses for their behavior or covering up their lies, you end up prioritizing their needs over your well-being. And these are the things that would tear down your emotional and mental health. And the more you keep trying to keep their lives in order, the more drained and neglected you become. So, for example, they might frequently quit their jobs or rack up financial debt expecting you to bail them out. So you find that you're beginning to have all of these burdens that you did not sign up for. So these are things to watch out for. Also, you find that your boundaries are consistently disrespected. You'd start to struggle to stand up for yourself with this person. And when you do, they would criticize, reject, and punish you for it. Punishment would come in different ways. It would come with silent treatment even. So if speaking up leads to manipulation or threats of abandonment, you may find yourself giving in just to avoid fallout or just to avoid problems or just to keep peace. But at the end of the day, this erodes your sense of self and leaves you feeling powerless. The next thing is you start to find that your mental and physical health suffers. First off, it starts with emotional and mental health, right? Because of all of the situations surrounding you, you find out that you're never really happy. You're always constantly stressed, chronic fatigue, you have this anxiety, you are depressed, and all of this culminates into physical illness like PTSD or adrenal fatigue. You may even start to try isolating yourself, losing interest in things that wouldn't bring you joy, or feel trapped in a state of hopelessness. If you feel any of these things, I think I've mentioned about 7 of them, it's a serious sign that it's time to prioritize your healing. It's time to give attention to the things that actually make you happy. It may be your career or physical activity. It's time to break out emotionally and heal. It's time to prioritize yourself. It's time. Your body is signaling to you that something is fundamentally wrong. And I just want you to know that you have the power to take charge of your life. Nobody has that power over you or your emotions that way. Find something that refreshes your mind and helps you think more logically. You have the power. Ask yourself, how much are you willing to endure before you choose yourself? Now, sometimes I understand that these matters may be more complex than in a family dynamic. There are ties you cannot just cut. I understand that, but again, choosing yourself doesn't necessarily have to mean cutting ties. Choosing yourself can just be setting boundaries, disconnecting emotionally, letting go of any expectations you may have, being able to control your own emotion in such a way that nobody has control over them, dipping yourself into your career or physical growth journey. Once you stop trying to change this person and focus on your healing, you will regain your power. And like I said, I know sometimes, depending on the complexity of your relationship, it might not always be easy. But I want to assure you that if you focus on yourself and on your healing, it is possible to get back the ownership of yourself. It's possible to regain your power. I'm going to end this video here. I hope it helps someone recognize where they are in life and also to understand that they have every power that they need to rise. You are not alone, and you deserve peace. Remember to like, share with someone who needs this, and subscribe. See you in my next video.